What is going on, squad? Welcome to another absolutely amazingly informative and entertaining episode of the Make It Happen podcast. I'm your co-host, Jupe, the infamous Jupe Borman. That's what I'm going to say. And
I
joined
thought
as
you were
always.
going to say I'm famous.
Oh, damn! I did put an M in there. Shit, guys. I'm going to go into this in a second. Let me introduce the rest of our co-hosts today. We also have Amanda, the TD3000, Kim, and joining us is Big Steve. What's
That's
up, Bill?
what it
How you
says,
doing
right?
today?
That is Big Steve right down there. That's
Yeah.
what that says.
Yeah, guys, I suck at English apparently because with the for those of y'all that are podcasters listening to us, it has like our display name, and usually me and Amanda we try to throw like little nicknames in there, and I meant to write infamous, because I'm doing a play on the notorious Conor McGregor,
Yeah.
but apparently I put IMFMOUS infamous, so
Not even close.
not even close. I
Not
suck at
even
words
close.
and writing.
Yeah, how about that Conor McGregor leg break though?
Oh, so
Dude, that
sad.
was wild.
It was so
Right?
sad. Keep in mind I'm a huge Conor McGregor fan. I think he's done. He's going to be the next Anderson Silva, and the fact that like Anderson Silva was on top for so long, and now like he's out of his. I think he's still like in really good shape, but I just think there's so many up and comers that are just way more hungry than he is. So I think Conor McGregor is going to end up being like the token fight, like how Anderson Silva was towards the end of his career. I hate to say that, but I mean, he lost his last one. He cracked his foot.
Yeah. I don't agree that he is what's the phrase that you use that like he is not as hungry as he used to be. I don't think that drive ever goes away in someone. What I do think is he's older, so even though he's in really good shape, the likelihood of him getting hurt increases each year that he keeps doing this. You know what I mean? Because he even said he thought it was broken, like, or cracked, like he heard or felt the crack, and when he kicked him.
Yep. So did Dustin. Dustin said it. He was like,
Dustin Poirier kicked him, and then when Conor went to strike is when he actually felt like he broke it.
He like turned and like tried to throw across because his left hand he's southpaw. So he put all the pressure on that back leg and then snap.
Just snap.
Yeah,
he was losing that fight
sad.
though.
He was.
What do you think is grosser to see happen? What do you think is grosser to see happen? Like a leg break like that, or like a bone break, or say like a muscle tear?
For me, it's bone break. Like muscle tears, because so much of it is internal. It doesn't freak me out as much, but I've seen some freaky ones. Like, I don't remember what the guy's name is, though, but he was doing an incline bench press. Jupe, I think you sent it to me, actually.
I did.
The one with Larry Wheels?
Yes, the one with Larry Wheels.
Yeah,
and the
horrifying.
Guy tore his pec, and it literally, you just see it snap and, like, curl back up in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, ugh.
Yeah. That was terrifying.
That one was, because he was screaming, too.
Yeah. I'm gonna say bone break. I think it's just the sheer shock and awe of it. And it's the sheer shock. Because then I've also witnessed a hamstring snap when someone sprinted. And it's crazy how much force muscles produce, because this guy was like running 100-meter dash in our state track meet, and it sounded like a shotgun went off. And everyone's like, what the hell? And then he just fell to the ground and his entire hamstring like snapped in half. And it was horrible. But I definitely think a bone break is worse. I think because especially like watching especially when it's something that you do often. Like whenever I watch fighting, like now that I do MMA, when I watch someone shin break, I'm like, oh, I can't even imagine what that feels like, because I know how bad my shins hurt whenever I check kicks with pads on. Like, ugh. That's what I think bones are worse.
Turns out kicking with your shin, really great to deliver power, really great to break your shin as well.
Really great to break stuff as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic to break shit for sure. On the topic of breaking things, we're talking about breaking in a new gym today. So the topic of the day we're going to be going over is what to look for in a new home gym. So let's say you move to a new place, or maybe you're brand new, don't know where to start. We are going to be touching base on things to look for in a gym that you want to join, like equipment rates, all that kind of stuff. And we're also, we're also going to be going over things to add to your home gym, because everyone, especially with 2020 and everybody going into quarantine, they had quarantine and bought a whole bunch of new gym stuff. Like, we're going to talk about, God forbid that ever happens again, but things that you should probably have in your own home gym in order to deliver the best possible results. And personally, when I'm looking for a gym, I've actually been looking around for a gym, so it's funny that we're on this topic today. So I think it kind of depends on, did
I read your mind?
You did, yeah. I actually have been. I've been looking for a new gym. Not that there's anything wrong with the gym that I currently go to, but I don't think I'm going to join a new gym anytime soon, just because of distance. But let's start with that. Let's start with what would you guys say is a good distance to be looking for a gym? Like, what's y'all's limit personally? Like, away from your home?
I would say mine is usually 30 minutes, because the very first gym I ever worked out in when I lived in New Jersey was Retro Fitness, and the closest one to me was about a 30-minute drive. So I just liked that gym for the amount of equipment they had. It was clean. In case people don't know, if you ever work at a gym, they'll tell you the number one reason people leave a gym is cleanliness. So, like, if a gym isn't clean, most people feel grossed out, so they'll cancel the membership and they won't work out there. Because you have to remember, like, people are sweating, like, there's a lot of bodies in one place. It's a lot of people touching different equipment. Like, if you don't keep it clean, it freaks people out.
People putting their crotches on machines.
Crotches, sweaty ass crotches on all over the place. But for me, 30 minutes, I think, is the maximum distance I would drive to go to a gym.
Yeah. What about you, Steve?
30 minutes. 30 minutes sounds like a lot to me, but I'm the home gym person of this trio, I think. But when I was commuting to a gym, I'd say maybe the furthest I was going was like 10, 15 minutes. I don't know. I find time is of the essence. And sometimes that drive over, like, if I'm feeling a little iffy about going to the gym already, next thing you know, it's drizzling. Next thing you know, I'm on the couch and I'm not going. Like, it's that easy. But, doing the home gym thing, I got it right there. I see it every day. It's just as easy as just deciding to start and, getting into the workout right away.
That's funny that you bring that up, because one of the things that I've always talked about is how I would have a hard time with a home gym. That's why I had a hard time adjusting to a home office too. For me personally, my time is like 15 minutes or say. Like, I turn the drive 15 minutes and I start drinking my pre-workout on the way to the gym. That way, by the time I get there, it's all kicked in and everything. So for me, 15 minutes. If I had to go 30, then I could. My MMA gym is 35 minutes away, so I guess that's okay. But, like, it depends on what type of gym, I would say, for me personally. Because, like I said, my MMA gym's 30 minutes away, which, for whatever reason in my head, like, my MMA gym, I'm like, yeah, whatever. As long as it's, like, within 45 minutes, I'm fine. But my regular gym for, like, weights and stuff, if it's more than 20, I'm like, damn, that's way far away. It's so crazy how your brain does that.
Yeah.
But one of the things,
I would agree with. Go ahead, Jupe.
It's funny whenever Steve talked about his home gym. For me, going to the gym, as I used to say, I have like a mental switch on the way, and it's hard for me to get into that. Hell yeah, I'm gonna bust through this workout. So how do you make your mental switch to, like, all right, time to lift? Because for me, being home, I'm chilling. Anywhere else, I'm working. You know what I mean?
Yeah, comes down to just scheduling. So, typically I'm an afternoon guy when it comes to working out. So, hey, Kat.
Don't forget when you see the afternoons, guys.
Oh yeah, I hope she's on the camera, when you guys see her. But yeah, like, afternoons for me, usually I have a nice little window there that I leave clear, so I don't book any appointments there with clients. I don't have any responsibilities aside from working out usually. So for me, it's just like a habitual thing. It's like, that's the time I do it. So when I have that afternoon window, I do it. And usually I'm just using my Google Calendar, just throwing it on there. If I'm doing, whatever type of bodybuilding split or workout split I'm doing, it's just like on the calendar. I see it when I wake up. I know it's coming tomorrow, so on and so forth. And I know that afternoon window is the time to do it. And, I'll be honest with you, sometimes I don't get to it, like anyone else. Sometimes I postpone that workout. I put it on the tomorrow list, and then I get to it the next day, but that's how I approach it.
Gotcha. And then do you have any kind of thing like that, Amanda, where you're like, you know what, like I don't think you have any home equipment, do you? Like, would you want to do home equipment personally, or?
I tried it at one point and it just wasn't the same for me. Like, there's something about being in a gym environment that feels very much home to me, and like I'm in my element. So I would rather go somewhere personally than try it. Because I tried a home gym idea during COVID. Like, I tried it for 2 months and it just wasn't the same for me. Like, I really need to be in an actual gym.
Yeah,
I think there's something to that.
Go ahead, Steve.
I'm sorry, Jude. I think there's something to that with like, you know, back in school, studying for exams and stuff. People go to the library. They can't study in their dorm room. Kind of like the same vibe there, you know, with working out outside of the home.
Yeah, I would totally agree, because it just takes me out of my space. Because when I'm at home, like, I feel like I'm at home to do other things. So like, I take care of the dogs, cook, clean, like do our podcast. Like, to me, that's home life. So for me to kind of disassociate those things, I have to go somewhere else. And like, I'm a morning workout person, like early morning workout person. So it's the first thing I think about when I get up in the morning, and it's the first place I go. So it also allows me to like kind of get my head around the day too. So like when we were talking about the drive, I was saying maximum 30 minutes. My ideal is like 10 to 15 minutes. Like, my gym that I go to right now is 12 minutes away. And in that 12 minutes, I like sip on my pre-workout. I think about my workout, and then I kind of like also think about the rest of my day and what's going to happen during that time. So I kind of like also that drive aspect of when you go to the gym. It allows you to get into the right headspace to work out and prepare.
Yeah. I feel the same. I think what I definitely want to have as soon as Katie and I buy a house, I want to have in my house, I'm going to have a heavy bag so I can hit a heavy bag, because that's one thing that I wish I could do more from a martial arts perspective. I really want to get in more bag work, and it's with my current schedule, like there's a heavy bag at my gym and there's a heavy bag at my academy. Obviously the academy has heavy bags, duh. But by the time I'm done like working out, I'm like, nope, I don't have time to hit the heavy bag. So I really think that I want to get a heavy bag in my home gym. So let's start with home gym stuff, right? So like somebody, let's say that we got another we got another thing that's happened. Like, in a perfect world, Steve, like what is your home gym like now? What kind of improvements do you want to make to it? And where do you think somebody who's brand new should start if they're like, I want to start with a home gym right now? What do you got for us?
Yeah, so if you're brand new to it and you want to start with the home gym right now, you know, it ultimately depends on your goals and what you're doing with workouts already. So like, if you're already lifting weights, you need weights, but not everyone is, right? So like, at the very minimum, you're probably going to want a yoga mat, right? So starting out at the bare minimum, like a nice comfortable place you can lay down on the floor, do core work, do stretches, things like that. Past that, I feel like the next step is to get some either resistance bands or dumbbells. And depending on who you are, you know, that might mean you're getting heavy dumbbells that, you know, can range up to like 50 to 100 pounds per dumbbell. Or, you know, if you're just starting out, that could be, you know, very light pairs, right? Like 5-pound pair, 10-pound pair, 15-pound pair. So it depends on the user, right? I use the Bowflex Select Tech 552s, which they're probably the Bowflex that people are most familiar with, those adjustable dumbbells. Yep. They go from like 5 pounds to like 50 pounds. Yeah, they're great. They're super user friendly. They're super durable. I had them for like 6 years now, and they've held up really, really well. I've abused the hell out of them. I used to bring them with me to and from clients when I was doing in-home training. They rolled over my trunk several times. Like, they're practically indestructible. So they're great. But, you know, 50 pounds, right? Like 50-pound dumbbells, that's good. I think for most people, that's pretty adequate. But for myself and probably both of you right here, like, I think we all know we could probably lift a little heavier on certain exercises. And that's probably the biggest thing that I miss about going to the gym, because currently I don't have a gym membership. I'm only working out at home. My plan to expand is to eventually get a power rack, get my own, you know, barbell setup, get my own plates, preferably like bumper plates, get the rubber mats and the flooring. And eventually I would like to replace the Bowflex dumbbells with the Power Block dumbbells, which I'm not sure if you guys know about those, but they can be expanded up to like 100 pounds per hand, which is pretty much, that's all I need. If I can get like up to 100 dumbbells, that's plenty for me.
Right. I think that's like adequate for 99% of most home gym users. 100 pounds is a lot of weight. And I think the only time I've ever touched 100 pounds is like flat chest press, maybe, or like if I'm doing like unilateral. It's very niche workouts. Bottom line. So yeah, definitely. And is there you want to upgrade to Power Rack? Is there anything else that you kind of feel like, man, I wish I had this, like in a quote unquote
in a perfect world?
Yeah.
In a perfect world, I mean, I'm pretty bare bones. Like honestly, just having heavy dumbbells and barbell setup, that would be enough for me. One thing I didn't mention actually though is cardio equipment. So I've become a little bit more fond of doing cardio in the past year or so, and I had a very, very good budget buy of a stationary bike on Amazon. The brand name is Exerpeutic, and it was like $100. My brother had gotten it before me. Basic, like upright stationary bike, no back pad. It's not the most comfortable, but it got the job done. You know, it has a heart rate monitor built into it, all that good stuff.
Oh wow!
And I used that for a solid like year and a half. And it was good. It got the job done. But eventually, one of my clients, they offered me one of their recumbent bikes, like a leaning back with back support stationary bike that's super high end. I ended up taking that off their hands, and it's been a fantastic upgrade. Way more durable. I can beat the hell out of it, and it doesn't break. The Exerpeutic one didn't break, but it felt like it was breaking.
Nice. I
get that.
As you were saying everything, I just realized that like growing up throughout high school, I pretty much had a home gym. I completely forgot about that for whatever reason, because I feel like it's been forever and a day that I had basically a home gym. And then Amanda, you said that you started kind of like the home gym thing. Like, what did you have in how did it go?
So I would say my home gym was probably a little bit more advanced at the time. So when I lived in New Jersey, our house, the basement wasn't finished, but it was quite a big house. So it had quite a large basement at the bottom. So we were able to we had a barbell with, I think, up to like 315 amount of weights in terms of like plates. And then we had one of those machines that is a multifunctional machine. So it had like a seated cable row. It had a lat pull down. It had a tricep extension. And then it had the same thing on the other side. So you could do cable flies. And then we had a leg press.
Wow.
Oh my God. Damn.
Yeah. It wasn't the greatest leg press. Like my brother broke it a couple times.
Well, your brother's also massive.
Yeah, he's like 6'5" and like 260 pounds.
Oh boy.
But he wore out the rubber. So at one point it wasn't sliding very well. And I don't know how the fuck he did this, but he did. So we had that. And then we had a bench that converted. You could convert it to an incline or a flat bench or anything like that. And then we had a treadmill and elliptical for cardio equipment.
Dang.
So it was a pretty nice setup. And that's kind of, and I had a couple like dumbbell sets. I think I had a dumbbell set from like 5 pounds up to like 35 pounds. It wasn't super anything crazy, but it was like just a small dumbbell rack. So like that was our home gym setup, and that worked well for me throughout high school. And I think my senior year of high school, when I was the summer I was supposed to go to college, is when I actually got like a real gym membership.
You actually just reminded me, Amanda, the bench, that would be a fantastic addition to any home gym. Even if you just have dumbbells, they don't need to be super heavy, but just having a bench to do like incline presses or like seated presses, really helpful, bent over rows, stuff like that. So I'd recommend that.
Yeah, and if I were to make a home gym today, honestly, the biggest thing I would buy is one of the competition racks for powerlifting, because it can be converted to a squat rack, a bench, and then you just need the barbell for deadlifts. Yeah. They're expensive. I think they're like $2,000 to $2,500 for a competition rack, but they're super durable and they're just cool because they don't take up a lot of space, but you can convert them into whatever you want to.
Gotcha. No, that makes total sense. And I for my home gym that I had back in high school, keep in mind also that whenever I say this, the nearest, so I didn't have access to my high school gym. So the high school gym was always off limits. You could even none of the athletes ever went there for team workouts. It was literally like you took a weightlifting class and that's it. But the nearest gym to me was 45 minutes away, because that's where the main town was. And like I lived out in the middle of nowhere, guys. So where imagine like how when you go out, you go camping and you're cruising through the national forest right on the dirt roads, and you see this random ass house on the side of the road, and you're like, oh my god, wow, somebody lives out here. That's where I lived growing up. Okay, so the middle
sounds of awesome.
The boonies.
It's pretty nice because it's very quiet, and there's a lot of really cool wildlife, and I can pretty much do whatever I want. Like my property line is like the national forest, so it's literally like 10 minutes to like this beautiful creek to go camping and stuff. But then comes my mom was so excited when she got 5 megabits per second with her super fast internet, right? It's like, I got 5 megabits a second. Yeah. So those are the other problems that we have. So because of that, we actually did have a home gym. We had the OG Bowflex Selectex, like when they first came out, the very first ones. Nice. I had a set of those that went up to 52.5. And then do you guys remember the Bowflex that had the plates that you like slap the plate on and it like
yes.
So we had we had that Bowflex that had all of the stuff for it. Like you can do all major exercises. There's a leg extension attachment and blah 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 blah. And then I also had a pull-up station that I had in my room. So that's what I had for my home gym personally. Now we do have a Peloton for cycling, and that's what Katie likes to do. And I'm gonna have to start doing it soon too because I'm an old man and my knees hurt, my back hurts and stuff whenever I go running. But that's literally our current home gym is like yoga mats, and we have a Peloton and like a regular stand-up stationary bike. So it's nothing crazy, just because I personally don't like working out at home.
Yeah.
If I did, I would have a heavy bag because I love hitting things.
Amanda, you mentioned that cable setup, like you had the lat pull down stuff. I think that would be an awesome upgrade. Now that I'm thinking about it, like. That almost
multifunctional
seems,
unit.
Yeah. Now the wheels are turning.
I was thinking,
right?
You're planting the seed here. I was thinking to start out, if I just got a basic power rack and a good set of resistance bands, then I would just kind of improvise and do like pec flies with the resistance bands off the rack, or like whatever the hell else I want to do with them. But an actual lat pull down, an actual seated cable row, stuff like that would be sweet.
Yeah. And to be honest, when my dad bought it at the time, it wasn't that expensive. Like the most expensive thing we had down there was actually the treadmill. The treadmill was like a freaking $1,000 treadmill.
Wow.
It was a Nordic Track. It was a high-end treadmill. Yeah. But the multifunctional unit, I think, only cost like $300.
Wow. Okay.
What? So, and it didn't break. Yeah, like it didn't break. It wasn't super like. It wasn't a brand name, I will say that. So it wasn't like Hammer Strength or Hoist or any of those type of companies. So that may have been the reason why it was cheaper. But to be honest, the quality wasn't really that compromised. Like certain things like the rope that came with it weared pretty much like within months, but something like that's not super expensive to fix, and I would just use a bar instead anyway. I would just use the flat bar attachment anyway. Yeah. So for me, I thought it was like worth the money, and that might be an option to look at, is go for the off brand. Where I would say stick to like brand names when you buy equipment is like when you buy barbells and benches, that kind of stuff you don't want to snap and bend and get destroyed because they're expensive to begin with, even an off brand. So the last thing you want is for it to go bad within a year.
Or while you're using it.
Right, exactly. And end up hurting yourself.
There's actually something that
have it bend.
Yeah, or the bench itself like just collapse underneath you. Jesus.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That's my nightmares, man. There's something though that you brought up earlier about your home gym in high school, right? You said you had this big house and this big basement, and I was just going to say out there to those listening, not everyone has a big house with a big basement, right? So like, how can you manage with a home gym? Well, there's lots of different setups, right? Like it would be great if you had a big space for it. That would be ideal. Where I'm currently staying, I'm renting a basement apartment down here, and it's a spacious basement. It's like a 1,700 square foot basement, so it's pretty solid. But I basically have all of my gym equipment in the living room. So like, I can't show you right now on camera, but it's like the TV and the speakers and the couch, and then literally right to the side of the TV is like the dumbbell setup, the bike, and all that stuff. So it's just parked in my living room. So if I have guests over, if I'm throwing a party, like. There's this weights lying around. There's
a workout on.
Exactly.
It's a workout party.
And I don't mind it. My girlfriend doesn't mind it. But, for some people that might not be cool. You might need like a separate space to each their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people that use their garage. You know, like for most people, if you don't have to have your car parked in the garage all the time, you can just, make sure that's an emptier space and use the garage. What the bad part about using the garage is obviously the control of temperature. So like I live in Texas, unless I install an air conditioner somehow in my garage, it's way too hot to work out in there.
Yeah, and what if you're a car person and a gym rat? Because then you got problems.
Then you have real problems.
Bad combo.
Yeah.
One of the so I think the next step we'll talk about is like the term that comes to mind is an entry level gym. So what we're going to stick with that. The next segment we'll talk about is entry level gym. So you're just starting out. Most gym memberships, whenever you do that, I'll put a cap on, we'll say $35 to $40 a month. So for an entry level gym, you're kind of looking at anywhere. I've seen them as low, like in where I live in Denver. An entry level gym, quote unquote, is between $10 to $35 to $40. So we'll say that. So what do you guys look for? Like, if you're going to talk about an entry level gym, like what are some things that are worth that $40? Maybe some things that are like, that's not necessarily something that I need. Like, so like Amanda, what is it that you look for like in a gym membership where you went? Because we're also going to touch base on a niche gym, which at that point could be a whole lot more. But as far as like an entry level gym, what are you looking for and what equipment are you looking for and stuff?
I think I might surprise some people, but I have tried to work out at niche gyms before. And even though I like certain equipment that they offer and the style, I have always gravitated more towards the commercial gyms. And there's a couple of reasons why. So like when I say commercial gym, I mean, think about the big gym names. So that's like Planet Fitness, 24 Hour Fitness, LA Fitness, Lifetime Fitness. Crunch is another big one.
Retro.
So like those Retro is mostly like East Coast, but it's another big one. And then I'm trying to think, Anytime Fitness is pretty big too, especially in like the Midwest and the South. Those brand name gyms, one of the benefits I like about them is if I ever travel, I know there's going to be one wherever I travel to. So one of my criteria usually is if I know that I'm going to travel to like different states, because at one point I didn't live close to my parents. So like sometimes I would go back home and like see them. I wanted a membership to a gym that I knew would be there. So that way my workouts don't get interrupted just because I'm going to see friends or I'm going to see family. Because a lot of my friends work out too. So if we want to work out together, I want to be able to go to a gym that we both can go to. You know, like I know right now Jupe works at 24 Hour Fitness. I used to work for 24 Hour Fitness. So did Jupe. My membership is still with them, you know, and it's mostly because I know they're pretty much everywhere. Like I could go to pretty much every state and there's a 24 Hour Fitness there. So that was like one of my big criteria. The second criteria I have is basically that it's open early because I work out so early. So I needed a gym that was going to be open by 4 a.m. in case I get there by 4 a.m. Most of the time I'm at the gym between 4:30 and 5 is when I get there, but I needed a gym that was going to be open that early. And especially since nowadays, I don't think I would ever switch back to evening workouts. I think I would always just stick to morning workouts. There's less people. It's just more availability of equipment. And I just like to get it out of the way early in the day.
Right.
So that was like my second criteria. The third one would be because I power lift, I needed somewhere that had a decent power rack or multiple power racks and squat racks that had bumper plates and Olympic style lifting bars. I know powerlifters don't use Olympic bars, but I just like the style of that bar. I like where the knurlings line up. I like how it feels. I generally like those type of bars. So really like that was the most important equipment to me, but I also wanted the availability of like dumbbells and some machine work when I do my accessory work. And really, like, those were the big important things to me. It didn't have to be a really big gym. It had to be air conditioned because Texas is hot. Like, you know, but that's one of the reasons I gravitate towards the commercial gyms, because I know they'll have certain things that I'm looking for, most likely, and then the price point. So most commercial gyms, like Jupe was saying, my membership's like $28 because I get a discount through work. You know, so, and I can go to any sport level 24 Hour Fitness across the country. And I just paid $28 a month for my membership. So those criteria are super important to me compared to, you know, even though I'm more of my lifting is more niche, what I look for in a gym is a little bit different, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What about you?
And it has
Steve?
to be clean. That's
of course.
That's my other one.
Yeah, that's a very important one.
Very important. Entry level gyms. I mean, you name some of them. The ones that I would usually steer people toward. Like if you're really just starting out, I see nothing wrong with Planet Fitness. Honestly, I mean, the only things that are wrong with it, I can list on one hand, and that would be there's no free barbells, right? So there's no actual squat rack or power rack, just Smith machines, which is a bummer. But aside from that, and maybe the amount of people, usually there's a lot of people at Planet Fitness because it's a very affordable, very popular gym. I mean, it has everything else. It has for entry level, it has dumbbells that go heavy enough, usually like 60s, 65s, 70s, which if you're just starting out and you're lifting those weights, well, you must be pretty damn strong, in my opinion. Like most people, that's like an aspirational amount of weight, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Aside from that, though, just they have tons of equipment. They have tons of reliable machines. They have all the standard equipment, cable setup. Like I've never really had an issue with Planet Fitnesses aside from those few gripes. And then the lunk alarm, right? So can't mention Planet Fitness without bringing up the lunk alarm. A funny story. I actually had one incident there, not with a lunk alarm, but I brought my gym bag in with me, and I didn't bring it into the locker room. I just brought it, and I had it underneath the bench I was using. And one day I'm at this Planet Fitness in Edison, New Jersey, and this guy comes up to me, and he just grabs my bag and like moves it away, like off to the side, complete stranger. I was like, what the hell, man? So I walked over and I was like, excuse me? Like, that's my bag. Like, what are you doing? He was just like, you gotta put it in the locker room, bro. You gotta put it in the locker room. And he got like all of my face, and he was like pointing to the sign that says you can't have your gym bag on the floor. I was like, all right, I guess that's the rule. Do you work here? He was like, no, I don't work here. So I was like, all right, give me my fucking bag back. What the hell are you doing, dude? So I took my bag back.
Fucking psycho.
I took my bag back, put it back underneath the bench, continued my workout. He did it a second time. And this time he brought it to the front desk and just like handed it to the employees and like started like complaining about me. And I went over there and was like explaining myself, and I was like, I don't know who this guy is. Like, he's taking my shit. Like, that's theft as far as I'm concerned. Like, I have to call the police. It was a whole thing, man. It was a whole thing.
God damn.
Anyway,
that's insane.
Aside from that, Planet Fitness is a fine gym.
It is, as long as you abide by the rules.
It's a fine specimen.
Yeah. No,
as long as you abide by the rules, you don't do what I did.
Right.
As long as you don't have fucking Kyle stealing your bag from underneath the bag.
That guy was nuts.
No,
real quick though.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. I keep cutting you off. Real quick. Aside from Planet Fitness, I feel like if you're slightly more advanced, you want those free weights, you want heavier, dumbbells and what have you. Crunch Fitness, I feel like is the next best bang for your buck. I think the price point is very similar. It's either identical or slightly higher. We're like starting at like $20 a month. But you get actual Olympic bars, you get bumper plates, you get usually a way more serious atmosphere for training. It's still commercial, but like compared to Planet Fitness, it's definitely a step up and a really good price point.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a huge not fan of Planet Fitness because they. So this is back before I knew like what Planet Fitness was. But they opened up a Planet Fitness in my college town, which is about 95,000 to 110,000 people, depending on who's there when school's in session and stuff. When school's in session, it'll go down to 50,000 or something like that. But anyway, so I signed up for it, and I think I signed up with like the 1 penny down and $10 a month. And I went in 3 times, and I only got to work out once because they kicked me out the first 2 times. Because the first time I went in, they said, hey, you can't wear that shirt. And it was something like this, I think, like a cut off. And I was like, all right, cool. I can't wear a cut off, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I went in another time in just an Under Armour shirt. And they're like, no, you can't wear that because we don't want you to we don't want you intimidating people. And I was like, well, that dude over there has one. He's like, yeah, but you can't wear that shirt. And I was like, what?
Oh.
Yeah. So they kicked me out a second time. Yeah. So then the third time I went in and I had the water. I had like the typical gallon water bottle, and they were like, "You need to either finish that or throw it away. You can't have that water bottle." And I was like, "All right, fine. There's just a little bit left." So out of the 3 times that I actually went in, so that's why I don't like Planet Fitness. Rubs me the wrong way. But you're absolutely right. It's a really good bang for your buck, though. I was breaking the rules. Okay. I understand it's their facility.
I was
breaking the rules.
They're all franchise, right? So like, I think your mileage may vary. Like I've definitely been to Planet Fitnesses before where they did not enforce dress code at all. You see like ladies wearing like the most revealing like super sports bra type stuff with bare midriffs, and it's like I'm pretty sure that's not allowed here, but all right, like whatever. Like I don't care.
Yeah,
it's fine.
For sure.
That's what I figured.
Stop, Siri. Thank you. All
right. Siri decided to join the podcast.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
Fourth cohort.
Thanks, Siri. So the other one that I really like, I've been to Crunch once or twice, and they have a whole bunch of really good stuff. The other one in the Denver metro area, because I know a lot of Denver listeners listen to the podcast, is Vasa. I think Vasa is an amazing bang for your buck. Because same thing, it's only $10 a month for the entire weight room. But if you want, if you want to bring a guest, it's $20, and if you want access to like the pool area, it's an extra $5 or something like that. So the way they break down their pricing structure is really, really cool. So that's what I'll say. And like the same thing when I'm looking for something that's like entry level, gotta have cardio equipment, gotta have at least one set of dumbbells that go from 1 to 100, I would say, at your commercial gym, a decent amount of everything else, stuff like that. So that's what I look for in an entry level gym for sure. So our last one we're going to be talking about is the niche gyms. So this is something that you're either extremely bottom line is you're not going to go to these gyms. My camera just did a weird thing. These are gyms that you're only going to go to if you're like really into a niche type of fitness is what I'll say. So, this is where we're kind of looking at like powerlifting only gyms, right? These are the ones that have the massive ass, like the little cranky thingies, what I'm talking about, on the squat rack, right? Where you stand up. The monolith. Yep. Yeah. Those we're talking. Yep. We're talking CrossFit gym. We're talking MMA academies. We're talking, even a private gym, we'll say, right? They could be pretty niche. So like, we'll start with Steve on this one. Steve, have you been to any of these gyms, and like what kind of price points did you see, and like what was it that you liked and disliked about these niche / private gyms?
Yeah, so in terms of niche gyms, in my experience, I was once upon a time really into bodybuilding, and there were two like bodybuilding centric gyms I had visited. One in Staten Island, shout out Pumping Iron Fitness on
Pumping
Forest
Iron
Avenue.
Fitness.
Yeah, man, Pumping Iron was legit. That's where all of the Staten Island Guidos and meatheads and dudes on roids would be, and people would train really hard there though. Like there were some really like badass dudes there. So like nothing against them. Like it's all fine if you're on gear, but it attracted that type of people, and they were really strong. People were training really hard. People like posing in the back room where the lighting was. All like in their posing trunks and stuff. It was like hardcore. Me and Jonathan, Amanda, we used to train there in Staten Island together, and that's a crazy atmosphere to lift in. Like if you're trying to pursue bodybuilding, like you kind of want to be there. You want to be around these freaks who are just like shredded and veiny and just massive, and you want to feel like the small dweeb in the crowd, get you amped up. That was Pumping Iron Fitness. There was another one in Milltown, New Jersey, not far from me, called the Muscle Mill, and Muscle Mill is basically a bigger version of Pumping Iron, where it had like 2 floors instead of just being 1 floor, literally like 2 or 3 times the size. Similar atmosphere, but way less populated in my experience. So you'd go in and it'd be virtually empty most times. So not as much of the Guido Juicehead crowd that you get in the Staten Island gym. The thing with Pumping Iron though is it was so small that like pros and cons. Small and tight knit, so like you kind of see what everyone's doing, which is cool. But then, like, you got getting people's way, and you got these guys like throwing elbows out there trying to go for dumbbells. It's like it's a weird atmosphere, not for everyone. It was pretty affordable though. Both of them were actually reasonable. It wasn't like I know like a martial arts academy or something like that can definitely get pricey, or like a powerlifting centric gym. Both of these they were privately owned, and I feel like I was paying like $20, maybe $25 a month, which I thought was super cheap. And they have all the old school bodybuilding equipment.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so what was it that you what was it that you liked about those, and what was it that you disliked about those specifically? Like it sounds like from what you're telling me, number one, like it like levels up your competitive nature and your mentality, right? It's kind of what it sounds like.
Definitely. I mean, if you're trying to be a bodybuilder, if you're specifically like dieting down, trying to get shredded, or if you're trying to get huge, seeing other people doing that is cool because you see these guys who are way more advanced than you, been training for longer and twice your size and just shredded. And it's just like partly intimidating, but also motivating. So there's that. The other thing was the equipment. So like those old school bodybuilding gyms, they tend to have some pretty interesting archaic equipment. And if it's well maintained, it could be pretty cool. I remember it was this weird standing side raise machine that you really just don't see in commercial gyms. Like I'm sure we've all seen like in the commercial gym, like the seated lateral raise where you're kind of like this with the elbow pads. Sure. This was not that. This was like an old school like Nautilus piece from like the 50s or something where you're standing and like, it had like the pins for like as if it was like a cable setup. And it's hard to describe or demonstrate, but like I've never seen that.
But did it have like the handles and all that stuff?
It did have the handles, yeah. I know, it was pretty cool. It was very free moving.
Yeah,
like stuff like that. They're unique. I've also seen like the completely like vertical leg presses at those types of gyms, where like you're laying on your back and lifting toward the ceiling, which is pretty crazy. And then the dumbbells, right? Like they have these, super heavy dumbbells. Like both of those gyms, I think they had dumbbells going up to like 150s or like even higher than that, which is nuts. Yeah. I really wasn't handling those much, but just to see them, just to have access to them, and to see dudes benching like 150 dumbbells for reps was like shit. All right, I'm in this place right now, and I'm chilling with these guys.
Right? Heck yeah, that's super awesome. And then I'm gonna guess Amanda's been to a powerlifting specific gym, but are there any other niche gyms that you've been to that like, you're like, oh wow, this is really cool, I liked this, or something that was like, this ain't worth the money? Like, what do you think?
So you're right. I have been to quite a few powerlifting gyms, and usually a lot of people that have a powerlifting gym, it's like powerlifting / strongman. So similar to Steve, I would say the cool thing about those gyms is the environment that it creates. So a lot of people that end up working out there, they're very serious. They're lifting a lot of heavy weights. You can get a lot of advice and kind of see a lot of good technique when you go to those types of gyms, and it influences you and pushes you to go harder because you don't want to be the one that's left behind. Like Steve was saying, like you don't want to be the little guy that's not pushing a whole lot of weight, or you don't want to look like the noob basically and look like you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. So I like that aspect of those niche gyms. The other thing I like is similar, like you have access to equipment that you normally would not see in a commercial gym because most people either don't know what that piece of equipment is, so they would never use it, or it's so niche that it's just too expensive to buy multiples of it to put in a commercial like gym. So like glute ham raises are always in powerlifting and strongman gyms. You'll see things like Atlas stones, like big tires, sledgehammers, log press rolls, and things like that. A lot of those powerlifting gyms that I've tried have a lot of that type of equipment, which you can do some different stuff with, which I thought was really cool and I really liked. And then a lot of those gyms they have a very grungy feel to them. Yeah. So they're not going to look as clean. The equipment tends to be older. It tends to be very concrete, like walls everywhere. It's not going to be all fine, I put a lot of work into the aesthetics of it. Like they don't really care about that kind of stuff. The sucky part about those types of gyms is usually the price point. Like some of the powerlifting gyms that I took a look at were $85 to $100 a month to go to, which I didn't think was worth the money. Especially the other sucky part is the available hours that they're open. So some of those niche gyms, they don't open till 7 a.m. and then they shut down at like 7 or 8 p.m. Yeah. So if you're someone that works, that may not work with your schedule, and then you're ending up paying this money and rushing through workouts or not being able to work out the way you want because of the scheduling. So a lot of powerlifting gyms I went to had that type of scheduling issue, which was a huge turnoff for me. So that's one of the reasons I didn't like it. And then some of them, basic amenities they won't have, like the showers are dirty, the bathrooms are always dirty, and like one of them had no AC, yep, no heat for the winter. So like those things are kind of tough for me. And I know it sounds like very prissy and like very first world problems, but if a little thing like that can affect my workout, like I will avoid it, if that makes sense. Like, no, that makes I don't want something that small to affect my workout.
I feel like I don't know, the not having AC might be kind of tough because, like I said, it kind of depends on where you're at. Like I know, like I'll talk about like one of the things that I like to do just for shits and giggles is I like to gym hop whenever I'm at a different town and go to like more of a niche gym. I'll talk about that in a second, but like I feel like not having a heater in the winter would like cause injuries. Right?
Oh yeah, it can.
You know, like not cause them, but it'll like contribute to like having an injury, you know? But yeah, so like my I've been to California a couple times, and like whenever I go, I went to Equinox, which was the bougiest fucking gym in the whole entire world. Okay, so those of y'all that don't know what Equinox is, it's in Irvine, California. It is a 4-story gym, and it's attached to the side of this we'll call it like an executive building, right? So the executive building was like 15 stories tall with like lawyers, and it's all these like headquarters of all these like tech companies and stuff, but the gym's only 4 stories tall. So the first floor, when you walk up the stairs, you're actually in the second floor. In the second floor, there's a pool, there's a restaurant, there's a bar if you want to. So it's not meant for like quote unquote super fitness. Yeah, no bullshit. There's a bar there. There's a restaurant, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Damn.
The first floor, which is technically the basement, is where they have a spa and all eucalyptus crap. Is crazy. The third floor has basketball courts, cardio equipment, and a little bit of weights. The fourth floor is where the general weights are, and keep in mind also every single towel is like eucalyptus infused, so you can like smell it and smell better or whatever the fuck it is. And then the roof has a CrossFit area with a turf and tennis courts. So it's wild. Equinox is wild. So that place is also by invite only, by the way. So you can't just walk in and get one. You have to be invited into the club to get in. Okay. So luckily I knew a guy that worked at a supplement store.
You knew a guy.
Yeah, I knew a guy who worked at a supplement store nearby who they gave him like day passes and stuff like that, so we can like hand them out. So that's how you're invited. You're either given a day pass or you come with. Shut up, Siri. Man, Siri's hanging out with us today. Damn, what a needy hoe. Get out of here. Okay. I also went to Gold's Gym Venice Beach, which is an entirely different feel. It's the mecca of bodybuilding, which is absolutely wild. It was super cool. Took a picture on the green wall and all that stuff, so that was different. They were like $54 every 2 weeks though, like insane amounts of money. I think a day pass was like $25.
Damn.
Yeah, it was very expensive. Yeah, and they don't have AC.
Thank you, Arnold.
Yeah,
right.
I know, right?
Yeah, they don't have AC.
Yeah,
I know that.
They don't have AC at that gym. And then where else have I been to? Those are the main big ones. But as far as niche gym, I'll also go to a couple of CrossFit gyms, which I'm gonna put that in niche because their gym memberships are super expensive. But
you mentioned something. I'm sorry, you mentioned something about Equinox that actually made me realize we didn't discuss with gyms. Like some of them do have these other amenities, right? Like not just weights, not just cardio machines, but they have a pool.
You're right.
Might have basketball courts. They might have. You said tennis courts. That's super bougie, but some of them do. Yep. There's one actually that I didn't mention earlier, sauna. So I think saunas are actually a really good thing to look for in a gym. Planet Fitness doesn't have them. I don't think Crunch has them. When I was looking around at my local offerings, there was like one gym that had it, and it was like gender specific saunas in the locker rooms, like attached directly to the locker rooms. And I went there as like testing out like a free trial, and it was okay, but like I thought the membership price wasn't worth it, even with the sauna included. But for me personally, like having access to a sauna is super big. One day I would like to have one in my home, but not there yet. That's something else to consider. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. I think I agree. That's a big one for sure. That's a really good amenity to have. I think Planet Fitness has a red room, right? Which is like they soak you with infrared rays or some shit like that. I don't even know what the point of that is, to be honest. But either way, they have something like that. My 24 has a sauna, wet sauna and a dry sauna, which is super nice, and a pool and a hot tub. And the one also I lucked out though. The 24 that I go to was supposed to be an ultra sport So they invested a ton of money into it, but now it's only classified as a super sport. So it has the amenities of like an $89 a month gym, but it only costs $40, which is super nice. But yeah, so now
it's also the second biggest gym they ever built.
Yeah, it's huge.
I was about to say it's also the second biggest 24 they ever built. So that is 90,000 square feet, that gym. The biggest one is in San Ramon, California. That one is 125,000 square feet because they have an outdoor facility. Dang. They have like a rock climbing wall and like an outdoor pool and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's big. It's big.
He's big. It's big.
But as far as niche gyms that I like that I go to now, I would say, or that I've looked at now, obviously I go to an MMA academy and that's super duper expensive. All things considered, but if I'm gonna look for something to train, like for niche, I'm thinking like UFC gym would be a niche gym that I would consider for myself. I know that is about it's about $80 a month, $90 a month, something like that. But inside of that, you get to do some classes if you want to do kickboxing, and the equipment that they have is very like the attachments you put on a squat rack, right? So like you put these things on a squat rack, and there's literal handles where the bar is like on like a pendulum swing. You know what I'm talking about? So like if this is the cage here, you're like it's like on a pendulum swing with handles right here. So you're like literally shoving things, and every piece of equipment they have is tied directly towards combat sports. So that's one thing that I would consider. As far if I was looking for a niche gym, the one that I'm at now, the 24, does everything that I need it to. It's great. The other thing that I would look for in a new gym would be kettlebells. I'm just absolutely in love with kettlebells at the moment, and I don't think I'll ever not be in love with them. So I would probably say, if I'm looking for a niche for combat sports, those kind of extra attachments that, like I said, are directly correlated to combat sports as far as exercises are concerned, and then probably something that and like trying to have some sort of like really heavy kettlebells. That's why I don't like Vasa. Like there's a Vasa right by my house, which has 95% of what my 24-hour fitness does, but all of their kettlebells that are in my strength range are all like in the personal training cage, and you can't have them, which is annoying, I think. Other than that, yeah. So I would say niche gyms are going to be like $100 or so. Which if I lived closer to UFC gym, I'll be honest, I would definitely pay the money for it. But I just live like 40 minutes away.
I think if you're trying to do something niche, if you're trying to do mixed martial arts, if you're trying to do, powerlifting and you're not already doing it, like you don't know what you're doing, I feel like it maybe is worth the money because, not only you're getting the atmosphere and the experience and the equipment, but like you might make connections with people who are doing it and, you can learn a lot that way. So for someone who's just starting out, if you really do want to get to powerlifting, if you really do want to get to mixed martial arts or bodybuilding, whatever it is, like searching for a niche gym is not a bad idea, even if it does cost a little bit more than your normal entry level gym. But if you're just trying to be like healthy, if you're just trying to start lifting weights, if you're just trying to start doing cardio regularly, I feel like at that point you may as well just stick to the lower price bracket, explore Planet Fitness, explore Crunch Fitness, at least test them out and see if that might be adequate for you. That's usually what I would recommend someone if they were asking me for advice.
Yeah, definitely. And then get that trial, because everyone has a trial, no matter what they say. There's always some kind of trial period for them. So, boom, definitely. Guys. I think we've really, we touched base on a whole lot of good stuff. We talked about home gym essentials. We talked about entry level gyms, middle and niche. I think we absolutely crushed it today.
Nailed it.
Crushed.
Yeah.
Obliterated. Yeah, all that.
Hell yeah. For those first time listeners, Steve, where can they find you out on the socials?
Y'all can find me at Feel Think Fit on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Feel Think Fit, FeelThinkFit, and I spell it every time because everyone always gets it wrong when I say it. I don't know if it's the way I say it. It's a weird name, but Feel Think Fit with an F, right? FTF. Right. There you go.
Feel Think Fit on all the socials, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. This has been your newest installment of the Make Fit Happen podcast. Until next time, y'all, love, peace, and protein.
Peace.